The last Metroid is in captivity.
Anytime the new Switch or anything comes up about Metroid or Metroid Prime, I always gotta toss my 2 cents in, my 3 coins, my couple rings, my 1 gil, because I love me some Sammy, the first lady of Nintendo, and Peach technically is the first lady of Nintendo. Well, actually, you can go all the way back to Paulina if you really want to go back to 1981. But I consider Samus from the Metroid series the first lady of Nintendo because she was the first woman to have her own game star in it, even if we didn't know until you beat it. Watch my uncle beat it way back in the 80s. But when she took that helmet off, we was like, had to pull a Tim Allen. I would love to see Metroid, not saying turn her, Samus, or Metroid into a role-playing game, but I would like to see some role-playing game elements in the next Metroid game. And I don't really even like to associate it personally with Prime. I think that they should move on from Prime. And before y'all leave, just listen, hear me out just for a minute. I said RPGs, in the yes, RPGs, I said it. More RPG, please. I did. But now, after the success of Starfield and just space in general, Nintendo could be holding on to Metroid for next year intentionally for the Switch 2 to drop, so then we can get the most bang for our buck. Please, I hope that's what they're doing. I really don't want to see a low latency scaled Zelda game. Wouldn't a Zelda game either. I would have rather waited a whole next generation than get the old game on the new system. Like, that's why I know the Tears of the Kingdom is going to be remastered or upscaled for this next Switch. But I understand with them because they already had that in the process, in the foxhole. They were already ready for Tears of the Kingdom. You would think they would have been ready for Prime 4, but yeah, we just talked about it. The Switch came out in 2016, and it came out in 2017, right? Yeah, it came out in 2017. So the Switch came out in 2017, and they announced Metroid Prime 4 in 2017, and we still ain't got it. Let's just hold off and wait. I would far rather it be better. Like, I wanted to wait for Melee. I would have rather had Wario in and Mewtwo. Or what was the thing? It was supposed to be Wario was supposed to be in on Melee. I think that was the rumor instead of Young Link and stuff, but they got crunched with time, so they just had to add some of the shadow characters. Basically, that's when we started getting these Ganondorf, just like Captain Falcon, which I'm glad that over time he's actually changed himself a little. But I digress because I'm getting away from the topic at hand that I want to talk about, which is Metroid Samus and Metroid Prime. Now, I know I'm in the minority here, but I don't want to see another Prime game, y'all. Haven't we already been there, done that, right? In the early 2000s, that was 20 years ago now. I want to see an open world space adventure with my lady Samus. Think Starfield having a baby with Zelda and gave birth to Samus. Like that. I love to see some sort of first-person shooter elements where we would be able to utilize the visor and even some features within the game that, like, the classic Metroidvania stuff where it'll be stages where you have to run from lava or from some kind of alien swarm or something, where I don't think enough games do with Near Dead, where they switch up the combat or even up the angles. One of the reasons I really enjoy Xenogears and Final Fantasy VII, and I know all those are straight up JRPGs, I really enjoyed the perspective and how they were able to take one part where you're fighting in battle and it was very close, and then when to show how huge some of the situations or the things were, or the bosses and stuff were, they made the characters so small on the map, or the perspective was so big that, especially like with Xenogears when it came to the gears. And I would love to see something like that with Metroidvania, so add some the Metroidvania parts within a 3D world environment with Samus. I also said like a baby with Starfield and Zelda, but toss in some of that Mass Effect stuff too, where we actually can get in and explore the ship. I know you can do that in other games as well, but get in and play around and explore the ship and see what's what inside of Samus's no-name ship. Why her ship still ain't got a name after all these years? She can even have certain unaccessible areas that are only accessible when she curls and rolls up into a ball, which has hit. How did I explain that? I guess it's just a suit, but now when I'm really sitting there talking about it more and thinking about it, her body should be, girl, she got shoes. Samus with the Pilates. All right, anyway. If the Switch 2 did by some chance have some kind of VR stuff or anything to it, I can see that also being a feature. And I know that it's not gonna happen. Just let me have my moment here. So for those of y'all who do remember the before Metroid Prime, and when Metroid was just only from Super Metroid and we were just off of that classic game, Miyamoto walked in and was like, I don't like what y'all doing with this game. Scratch it, and had the team basically retract everything and go all the way back, and that's how Prime was invented. I mean, of course, during that time, he looked over across the street, not literally, but what at that time when Metroid Prime dropped, what game had just released in 2000, 2001 and was doing on all the competition, which is one of the reasons people thought I was crazy when I said that Halo ruined video games. The only reason I said that Halo ruined video games was the fact that it's a copycat league. And the moment a story, a good story, was presented in a first-person shooter setting, that's when we start getting nothing but first-person shooters. For those of y'all who are old enough to remember or game historians, I don't know, I couldn't even get the word, I was so excited. Game historians, I did it again. Game historians know that first-person shooters weren't even considered a AAA game until probably after Halo and then when Call of Duty 2 dropped. And then after that, then all of a sudden it shifted. That's when RPGs took a back seat for a couple generations, and now it's kind of balancing out again. And from what I see, a lot of people ain't playing them first-person shooters as they used to. They playing them, but they talking a lot of shit about them. But then again, I used to play 2K every year and talk a whole lot of shit about it too. Again, Miyamoto, he is more of an overseer now, probably doesn't have as much pull as he used to. People probably talk to him, but he's not involved in stuff as much as he used to be. He had already pushed back at that point, so add 20 years to that now, and he's probably just a quiet observer. But I'm making my point, or rather hoping for this next Metroid game to be kind of like following that same path, where they decide to take a chance to do something new with one of their most prized, franchises that's not named Mario and Zelda. And I know there's a lot of pushback for open world games, and it can separate the game from its roots. That's why a lot of people are pissed off about Breath of the Wild. But then people were pissed off about Skyward Sword, and now even more people are pissed off about Tears of the Kingdom. But I feel if you can keep the original, you can keep the original idea and concept of the game, but you just have to add those certain aspects into the game that made the game feel like its origin story. Like, okay, for me, and a lot of people don't agree with this, and it is what it is, but Final Fantasy 16, in my opinion, is a good game. It is Attack on Titan meets Game of Thrones with some Final Fantasy assets, but the issue with me is it's too Western, mainly because, well, all the characters look super Eurocentric ever since 15. Well, if you want to go back to 12 is when they really start looking super Eurocentric, predominantly Eurocentric. But not just that, but also the fact that this is the first mainline Final Fantasy. that you don't control your party. We just got NPCs. Gaz and Sid and Jill and everybody else who joins for a minute. Those dudes and gals, they are just NPCs. At least let me do something like Stranger of Paradise where I can at least change their equipment or their outfits or something, or it wasn't full, but I was able to switch off characters a little bit on Final Fantasy 15, but 16, no nada, no nothing, and it feels like I'm the only person that bothers. I didn't like that. I didn't like it at all. I was sitting here waiting to play with Jill and waiting to play as Sid for a good portion of the game. I'm sitting here with my mouth open like, okay, waiting for the little screen that now I can use this party member that they had joined my party. They joined my party all right, just to hang around. They didn't die either. They were just always there. I'll be dead. They screamed for me, but anyway, this ain't about Final Fantasy. It's about Metroid. But deep in my heart, I already know, deep in your heart, y'all know that Samus in an open world space game would fit like peanut butter does burger, like ham does jelly. I said it wrong, but you know what I mean. They would fit together really, really well. I mean, if Zelda could make the leap, then definitely Metroid can make the leap. You could have some kind of like seek out random Mass Effect planet type pre-designed RNG planet stuff where you can explore ruins and alien ruins and temples and use vehicles, salvage and even gather materials to boost up Samus's ship, again with no name, and upgrade her armor. You can again even use her moves to access new areas, and even certain parts of the game you have to be the ball or you have to use the first person shooter mode in order to do something. It could even be some kind of ship battles or something. I mean, yeah, I'm going crazy here, but this is Nintendo we're talking about. Nintendo is the family business. It's not like they out here making well, now they're making movies, but they're not out here paying for everything, and they're make like Sony and making TVs and Microsoft computers. This is their bread and butter, and Samus is the first lady Nintendo. I want them to show up and show out with this and not just rehash what they think is going to sell. I mean, I get it. It's gonna sell either way. We've seen that with Dread. People who didn't even know nothing about Metroidvania or those type of games, who just came from Prime, they love Dread. So let's take the leap. And if you want to do a Prime, how about we do that separately then? That's just my 2 cents.